So for us, you know, obviously when I was getting ready to go, and I know Casey had this experience, everybody who you would talk to, the thing they would, crime, Zika, that was, you know, what they wanted to talk about because that's what they're hearing on the news leading up to it. And we actually had to go through security briefings. What was it like for the athletes? Do you guys have to go through security briefings, and what did they say to you about Zika?
Okay.
Talk about that a little bit.
It was really nice because I feel like for my experience, I didn't really have any of those issues. I didn't even, there was like one mosquito I saw and I took the bug spray. I was like, literally killed it, got rid of it. But in the village, it was great. They had a truck that would go around and fog it, make sure, you know, there was no real mosquitoes in the area to really kind of get people sick. But I never had any problems with that, never had any issues with people trying to get into the village. It was pretty great.
What about the briefings before? Did you guys have security briefings?
They went through, not really. Like what they did is they brought us through on the bus, and then you came through, and then they searched you, they grabbed your bags, and they took it to where you're staying, and that's kind of all it is. They just said, you know, be careful, make sure you go with another person if you're going somewhere, and then, you know, if things kind of evolved, like they said with the taxis, they weren't allowed to get close to the village, so they dropped you off a mile away from the village, and they said just don't do it at night, it's too dangerous, or make sure you get, you know, an Uber or, you know, the certified taxi, so then it could actually take you to the village. You know, they were very on top of it, made sure our security was great, and I couldn't be more thankful because I felt protected. You know, I was definitely nervous because I was like, people were saying, oh, you know, there's bomb threats or there's issues and all the Zika virus. I was like, oh my God. I was like, don't let me die in Rio, people. Do not let me die. But no, it was great. I couldn't have a greater experience.
When we were, our first night there, we ran into a gentleman who's been, 9 Olympics, Alan Abrahamson, and he wrote a book on Michael Phelps in '08, and we interviewed him, and the interesting thing he was saying was that before every Olympics, there's always this buildup of, you know, it could be terrorist threats, it could talk about the traffic or whatever. Zika was a big one down in Brazil, and there's all this, oh my goodness, it's going to be doom and gloom, and then once the cauldron is lit, nothing. And it's great. And he predicted that was exactly what's going to happen again, and he was right. I mean, it was
you know, if you go back to London, they had the anti-missile rocket launchers on top of apartments, worried about terrorism. In Sochi, there was a huge terrorism concern, and here it was less international terrorism and more local crime. We did see, I felt fine. I felt safe. I felt like, you know, you're in a big city. There are a lot of opportunities for, you know, situations. It's a country of large disparities in terms of some very amazing, beautiful buildings down on the beach, and then favelas up in the hills where there is, you know, developing world, third world poverty.